Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gonna be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. We're trying out something new today. We're live via Twitter Spaces, so we are joining in. However, we can still read all the comments. We can see all of you guys in the chat. Shout out to Brian, Bench Matthew, Bouncer, Tito, Jose, Alfie Man. It's good to see you guys. Welcome in, Calvin. It's official. Kings win tonight, 113-116 over the Portland Trailblazers. Rough start for the Sacramento Kings, but they were able to come out with the win. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you. Calvin, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you, Barry? It's good to be back. That was a long break. What's up to everybody in the chat as well? Missed you guys. Glad that the Kings are back, and even more glad that they got the win tonight.
Definitely a great win for the Sacramento Kings. And a good way to start, returning from the break. This is their 33rd win of the year. And yeah, what a layoff. We'll definitely go over, we'll talk about the All-Star break, some of our favorite moments, maybe some of our least favorite moments. We'll talk about some changes in the NBA. We know Russell Westbrook has joined a new team. And then we'll talk about, tomorrow's game against the Clippers. But Calvin, give me your first thoughts on the game tonight.
Well, you almost could have seen this coming, right? Like, we've seen this so many times from this Kings team. Other teams got stars out, long layoff, haven't played in a while, come out and just look horrible right from the beginning. Couldn't get any shots to fall. Turnovers are a big problem. They too much easy penetration, easy buckets inside. I mean, you really almost could have put a lot of money down before this game started that's how it was going to look right away. But just like we've seen that happen a lot of times before, we've also seen the Kings flip the script later on in the game, whether it's in the third or the fourth quarter. Tonight it was the second quarter where they really came out and more focused. I don't know what was said in the huddle, but they definitely got the attention of everybody, and they were able to totally take control of this game and never looked back.
Yeah, they sure did. Light the effing beam. I'm excited for another win. Shout out to Lane here, and shout out to Joey. Thank you guys for joining in on the stream here. So a lot of, and also Country, can't forget about you. A lot of injuries announced, before the game. KZ was out. And then there were some people injured as far as the Blazers go, and some people were just out due to rest. Calvin will definitely talk about that. Not sure why people are resting after they just had a long layover. But no Nurkic tonight, no Justice Winslow, no Damian Lillard, no Jeremy Grant. They did all miss the game tonight. And Calvin, almost the entire Portland Trailblazers team missed the game. It was snowing. They missed their first flight. They finally got in the air about 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, arrived into Sacramento, and basically went to the hotel, changed, got all taped up, and headed right to the arena for the game. I thought that this would have given the Kings a big advantage, but no, it did not, Calvin. It did not. The Blazers started out extremely hot. They went up to, I believe, a 19-4 lead on the Sacramento Kings, up 15 early in this game. And I was a little worried, Calvin. I don't know the specifics, but the Kings don't play well for some reason when teams are missing their best players. So I don't know why that happened. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, it's maybe a little bit different from game to game. I don't know if the same factors apply to this game as they did to the Pelicans game. That was in the middle of a long road trip. This was after a long layoff. I think that the Blazers came out with that zone defense right away, and having not played, together for a week, that probably confused the Kings a lot. They definitely were unsure of where to go with the ball. They weren't making clean, crisp passes. They weren't ball faking to try to move the zone, and that resulted in a lot of turnovers. So I think it's a combination of not, having a great game plan or a great scouting report on a lot of these bench guys that are going to play heavy minutes, that you're all of a sudden not expecting to see when you're thinking Dame Lillard and Anthony Simons and Nurkic are coming to town, and all of a sudden you don't play any of those guys. And then the zone defense definitely created some problems for them. But all of that aside, you got to give coach the coaching staff, not just Mike Brown, but the whole coaching staff, a lot of credit. They were able to figure things out, and they really turned this game around completely and never looked back, like I said before.
Yes, they did. And speaking of coaching staff, I know you have a little insider information, Calvin, but we'll make everybody wait to hear from you regarding that. We got two different Brians here in the chat. Shout out to Brian Thompson and Brian Goodner. Good to see both of you. PK is here. Yeah, Brian, we did see Peja's son and Vlade both sitting courtside next to Vivek for this game. Definitely exciting for them. And to everybody that's just joining in, welcome into Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. Normally we're in the studio where you can see us and everything, but currently we are out of the studio. So we're experimenting with some new things so that we can put out more content and just, more stuff for you guys, even when we're not fully available. So we are live via Twitter Spaces. You can join us on Twitter if you want to come up on stage and speak. Or you can hang out on YouTube and listen to us and feel free to talk in the chat. We're definitely paying attention there. Calvin, I might as well just dive here into the box score. Are you ready for the box score?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So as I mentioned, Kings win tonight 133-116 over the Portland Trailblazers. They improved to 33-25 on the season, Calvin. That is 8 games over 500. They play the Clippers tomorrow and are fighting for their first time going 9 games over 500 for the entire season, which is absolutely huge, as Matthew points out in the chat. Domas Sabonis, huge game for him. 32 minutes of action, 18 points, 18 rebounds, and 10 assists. 3 steals for him and 5 turnovers. This is his 7th triple-double in a Sacramento Kings uniform this year, and he's about halfway to breaking the Sacramento Kings record of 14 held by Chris Webber. Harrison Barnes, 24 minutes of action, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Keegan Murray makes 2 more threes in this game in 25 minutes of action, 2 of 5 from three-point range. He is currently leading the NBA and on pace to break the rookie record in three-pointers made. And leading the NBA for rookies in three-pointers made. 10 points for him, 2 rebounds, and assists tonight, and 2 big blocks. Another huge game for De'Aaron Fox. I was a little worried early in the game. We saw him go down, was kind of favoring that right ankle. I was a little concerned that maybe he had tweaked something, but he seemed to be okay. 31 points for him, 11 of 15 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point range, in only 26 minutes of action. A lot of these guys played less than 30 minutes tonight, Calvin, which is going to be huge for the back-to-back tomorrow. 3 rebounds for him, 3 assists, a steal, and 4 turnovers. Kevin Huerter, 10 points tonight, 4 rebounds in 26 minutes of action, 2 of 6 from three-point range, 7 points for Trey Lyles, 2 points for Metu, 2 for Rashawn Holmes in 1 minute of action late in this game. And then huge games by Terrence Davis, 20 points for him, 4 of 5 from three-point range, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And my guy, Malik Monk. Malik is back. Malik the Freak, 15 points in 21 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from three-point range, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists tonight. And then we can't forget Davion Mitchell, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal in 23 minutes of action. Calvin, anything here that really stood out to you?
It's the bench. That's what saved them early on when they dug themselves that big hole early on. Terrence Davis was, like you said, enormous. I'm really, really glad that they went with him right away off the bench. I hope that he continues to be, a featured player within this rotation, and it's not the sporadic thing that we saw for a lot of the first half of the season. But it wasn't just him. Malik Monk gave them a really good punch, in the second half. He definitely found that mid-range stroke. and got things going for them as well. And that allowed, the game to kind of settle down and get more comfortable, and the starters were able to get in a much better groove as well. Terrence Davis and Sabonis were really, really good tonight in the two-man game. He definitely kind of took over that position that we see a lot of times from Kevin Huerter, and that resulted in him playing much bigger minutes. And then, of course, Sabonis and Fox, they're the stalwarts of this team, and they were absolutely enormous in every facet of the game.
That they were. Shout out to Fred Dixon for listening via Twitter Spaces. Also, Dylan. I see Dylan here in the chat. And Kid Chris, welcome in. Kid Chris, good to see you. Calvin, as far as the team stats go, I'll just read these real quick. Kings shot 54% from the field as opposed to 46% for the Portland Trailblazers. 41% from three-point range as opposed to 42% for the Blazers. Kings shot 80% from the free throw line. They did out-rebound the Blazers. Huge numbers here, 51 to 33, including 37 defensive rebounds for the Sacramento Kings. 27 assists for the Kings on the night, 9 steals, and 18 turnovers. Would like to, minimize that number a little bit, but definitely happy about the win tonight. 11 fast break points tonight for the Sacramento Kings and 56 points in the paint. Kings were down early in this game, down by 16, but they ended up leading by as many as 23 in this game. Shout out to Tanvir for joining here on Twitter Spaces. Calvin, tell me about the team stats.
Well, the rebounding is what stands out the most to me. And obviously, Nurkic wasn't there, so that definitely helped for Sacramento tonight. But 14 offensive rebounds, they controlled the glass in this game, and that was a big thing. That's a big thing for this team in every game, but it really, really helped, get themselves going after that slow start. I think that's what stands out the most. Points in the paint are great. You love to win that battle. And anytime De'Aaron Fox is on your team, that's really good too. But the shooting numbers were pretty much even. Portland shot fantastic from three tonight. Luckily, the Kings didn't have one of those poor shooting games to kind of, add to the woes there. But it's definitely the rebounds, and I would say the free throw line was a big weapon for them as well, right? They really outshot Portland at the free throw line a lot.
Shout out to Joey here in the chat. Joey says he isn't going to get a lot of love, but I thought Davian played great tonight. He did what he does defensively and actually played really well, not being a primary ball handler for most of his 23 minutes. Calvin, you got any thoughts on Davion Mitchell's performance tonight?
Yeah, I agree with Joey completely. It was really a solid performance, exactly what you would expect from Davion. And this team is so good offensively that they don't need him to come in and score. It would be really great if he got the outside shot going and you could rely on him a little more for a catch and shoot three when he does play off ball like that. But what you can rely on him for is aggressive on ball defense. Charges taken. I think they said on the telecast that he's 10th in the NBA in charges drawn this year. That is a huge, huge stat from one of the smallest guys, if not the smallest guy, maybe on the entire team. So absolutely, I agree that he played a solid game.
Official Kid Chris says he's drinking an IPA here in the chat. Shout out to Chris. I want to hear from all you guys. What are you guys drinking? Let me know down below in the chat. And also, we cannot forget to give a big shout out to our guy Bouncer. Bouncer, we appreciate you so much, keeping everybody safe and keeping those sex bots in line. But hey, guys, I want to remind everybody, please don't forget to smash up that like button if you enjoy the content on this channel. We appreciate you all so much. And don't forget to smash up that subscribe button. We are live after every single Kings game. Calvin, let's go over what your 3 keys to the game were.
Well, I wrote these keys during the All-Star break. I probably should have gone back and revised them before the game started today, but I was at work, so I didn't have time to do that anyway. Number 1, though, definitely stands out to me. It was get to the foul line. Not including today's game, the 3 previous games prior to the All-Star break, the Kings only missed 10 free throws out of 81 attempts, and they allow the 6th fewest attempts in the NBA currently. So they definitely had a good disparity plus positive in the free throw department tonight. Number 2 was game time, not Dame time. I think we can check that one off the box. Damian Lillard didn't see the floor tonight, and it's probably a good thing for Sacramento that he didn't. The number three was share the ball. The Blazers have definitely added some length with guys like Matisse Thybulle, but so far this season they allow they allowed 26 assists per game, which is 26 in the NBA, and they're 21st in deflections. That definitely changed, in the first quarter of this game. That zone defense created a lot of problems for Sacramento. But once they were able to kind of settle down, we saw them use a lot of ball fakes to get the ball inside or to Sabonis at the free throw line. And those backdoor cuts, whether it was Terrence Davis or Harrison Barnes, the Kings were really able to capitalize off of those moments.
Yes, they were. Calvin, I mean, I don't like to give a lot of love to, opponents, but I guess I can give the Blazers some love tonight, considering the Kings were able to beat them. And I don't know if the Blazers are really a threat to the Kings as far as playoff positioning. I know they're, what, 4 games out of 500 right now. But Calvin, I really like what this Blazers team has done over the last year and a half. Many people were concerned, myself included, about what happened to CJ McCollum and kind of the blow up of this team and what this means for Damian Lillard. But this team has been very active, both last year's deadline, this year's deadline, and in the offseason, bringing in talent. And Calvin, they brought in a lot of really, really young guys. I'm talking about Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle. They drafted Shaden Sharp. I see Kevin Knox is on the team now. I really do like a lot of these younger players. It will take them a while to kind of, develop and gain some chemistry. But I think this team has done a wonderful job rebuilding on the fly while still remaining competitive. Any thoughts or any love you want to give to the Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah, man, I'm with you completely on all of that. The Jeremy Grant trade, I thought was a good move. I like Jeremy Grant a lot. I know people kind of have this perception of him that he's a stats sheet stuffer on a bad team, but he's worked really, really well with Dame Lillard, and Anthony Simons has definitely taken another step forward. I'm a big fan of his as well. But you got to see tonight the opportunity given to some of these other guys. Nasir Little, I've got to give Charlie some love. I don't know if he's here in the chat, but prior to the trade deadline, he was floating Nasir Little's name around as maybe a guy that the Kings should look at and target. He definitely balled out tonight when given the opportunity. And he's a guy that's really improved his game a lot. He was a very, very high recruit at North Carolina, but wasn't really much of a shooter when he was there. His shooting form still doesn't look great to me, but you can tell that he's worked really hard on it. He was hitting everything today, whether he had a hand in his face or not. And then I like Keon Johnson a lot too. He's another guy that they drafted this year out of Tennessee. Very, very good two-way player. He was giving De'Aaron Fox a little bit of trouble. De'Aaron definitely got him back, but he was giving him a little bit of trouble today. He had that great putback dunk where he came in flying off the wing. They've got, like you said, a lot of nice pieces to build on for the future.
Shout out to AJ and Gilbert for joining in here via YouTube in the chat. Light the beam, light the effing beam. Calvin, I guess the most important question for me regarding this game is how many pieces of pizza do you think Nick ate tonight before the game?
Oh man, he must have had a bunch because the Kings ended up winning, right?
That they did. Shout out to Christian. Good to see you. And yeah, a blowout does feel good. Although I was a little concerned early in this game, but hopefully Nick will join us and we can figure out exactly what his formula was for a Sacramento Kings win. So, Calvin, I know you bumped into some familiar faces during the All-Star break. You want to give us a little intel on that?
Yeah, well, it's one of the perks of living in Maui, right, and being in a destination place. I actually had the privilege of taking care of Jordy Fernandez and his family. They were staying at the Hyatt where I work during the All-Star break, made the quick trip out. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't as great as you would have liked it to be, probably, for his first time here in Maui, but we, had a lot of good conversations. He's a really nice guy, as well as his wife and his family, and I was definitely honored to meet him, and it was a cool experience. So,
Yeah, very cool. I know a bunch of different Kings players went to different places, right? I think one of them went to Cabo. Malik Monk went to Miami. Everybody wanted to put their feet in the sand and get a little bit of sunshine during that quick break. I know De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, Kevin Huerter, and all those guys that made it to All-Star Weekend. Keegan Murray didn't get a lot of rest, but I'm sure they were happy to represent the Sacramento Kings. Calvin, how much of All-Star Weekend were you able to watch?
I wasn't able to watch a ton. I did see the Rising Stars game, or at least the first game. I didn't watch the championship game, but I did see the Keegan Murray game winner. I was able to catch the dunk contest, thankfully, because that was the only good part of All-Star Weekend, in my opinion. And I actually caught at the end of work, I was able to watch the Kevin Huerter in the three-point contest, and I watched it with Jordy Fernandez sitting next to him. So that was pretty cool as well. Even though Kevin didn't perform very well, it was still fun.
Wow, that is very, very cool. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about All-Star Weekend, but before we do that, we got to finish up talking about tonight's win.
The Kings won, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. The Sacramento Kings, oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. Fox is so fast. Sabonis is so strong, yeah. Coach Mike is so smart, yeah. They are the playoff bound, yeah. Kings, oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. Fox is so fast. Sabonis is so strong, yeah. Coach Mike is so smart, yeah. They are the playoff bound, yeah.
All right. That's going to be interesting how that comes through because I know we do have a little bit of a delay. But Calvin, the Kings were up in the fourth quarter of this game. They were up by, I believe, 22 with 5 minutes left. I saw Domas he was still out there on the court trying to go for that triple-double. I want to hear your thoughts on that. You have a back-to-back tomorrow. Not a lot of guys played a ton of minutes tonight, but Domas is one of your most important players. He did have his finger wrapped still, or his thumb wrapped, and he was out there late in this game when the team was up 22. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, personally, I'm okay with it. I mean, you look across the bench at the Blazers, and you got guys who are sitting out for rest. All of these games down the stretch are really huge, right? I realize they're up big. Sabonis, aside from the unfortunate finger injury he had earlier this season, he's a pretty durable player. He doesn't, elevate over the rim for too many plays, so he's able to kind of manage, I would say, risk factors in the potential for getting hurt. It's, I think, an example of, the team is trying to put their finishing touches here on this season, right? You want a convincing win. I'm okay with it, especially when I look over and see Damian Lillard and all these guys not playing for rest right after the All-Star break.
That is so wild, dude. I have no idea how they're able to just get a day of rest did Lillard, he played in the All-Star game, but he didn't do any other activities. So that's really, really interesting. I wonder why he did rest. We got to give a shout out.
Well, he did win the three-point contest, but I'm
yes.
not saying that
Sorry,
that's
I did forget about that.
That should hold him out of a game either.
He was actually my pick to win the three-point contest. I forgot about that, Calvin. I forgot about that. He was actually splashing it, dude. I think he is probably the second best shooter in the NBA, honestly. But we got to give a shout out to Alfie Man here for the super chat. Alfie Man, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you so much. And don't forget, we do have memberships now enabled on the channel. So if you do want to be a member, you can sign up to be part of the Royal Family. We have two different tiers. The Royal Family membership is $1.99 a month. It gives you a special color around your name, some really cool emojis, and some other perks. And then we also have a $9.99 a month VIP package that allows you into the special group chat. You'll get discounts at the team store and all that wonderful stuff as well. Calvin, I see Nick is here on stage. Should we bring him up and ask him about pizza?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely time to talk about pizza.
Shout out to everybody that hung out with us.
What's up?
How's it going? Partying, huh, Nick?
Yeah, why not light the beam?
Why not light the beam? Nick, how many pieces of pizza did you eat today?
A couple of pizzas.
it. Wow, are the police coming after you right now, huh? You ate too much pizza.
Yeah.
It's working. Hey, it's working. All of a sudden,
Man.
it's working.
Yeah.
Get your shirt. I know your shirt was delivered today. Also, Tanvir's Light the
You know what the
Beam
fuck
shirt
he's
was
talking
delivered
about.
today. Were you able to receive your shirt?
It's your.
Yes, I
it's yourself.
was. I know I didn't.
Well, you can't figure
Maybe
out
it's
the
waiting
fucking
for
thing.
you at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, why not Light the Beam?
Like, it's working.
Why not light the
It does
beam?
work.
What were your
Fire
thoughts
the
on the game
You
tonight,
can't
Nick?
work.
fire the laser.
Your brain don't work. Your brain doesn't work, apparently.
Laser. Appreciate
Hey.
you, buddy.
Their brain
Hey,
don't
why
work.
not Light the Beam? So I'm
That's
glad
what
that
it
we won
is.
tonight. So I'd like to see
Like, it's
continue
not
to win your
working.
games.
It's not working. It's not working.
Awesome, man. What do you think about tomorrow's game?
The thing's not working.
You gotta play, but you gotta play better defense.
It works. It works.
Yeah, we
Trust
know
me,
you
it
love
works.
defense, Nick. Definitely
Hey,
got to key in on
hey,
defense.
I'll make it work. I know how to
hey,
do it.
Young Zel was
The
saying
fuck?
on the rebounds.
Get the fuck out of here.
He cares about the rebound.
Get the fuck
Hell
out
yeah.
of here,
I
people.
love Young Zel.
Oh my
Where are
god.
you at right now,
No.
Nick?
Leaving the parking garage, trying to leave the parking garage
The
down
game
to the
tonight?
city.
Trying to.
Yeah,
Can I work it for
Game?
you? You want me to work it for you?
yeah. I was excited to see the Kings beat Portland, so why not? So,
They want me to go
are
down
you
there.
coming to the playoff games?
If I gotta go down there,
We will definitely be there for the
not gonna be
playoff
pretty.
games. But hey, Nick,
So,
Calvin and I are going to talk a little bit more about All-Star Weekend if you want to hang out, and then I want to hear from you a little bit
Show
more
them
when you get out of the
how
parking
to
garage.
use it.
okay.
Oh my god.
Calvin, you have any other things to say about this game tonight? I know everyone's excited. It's a big win. It's a great way to start. I guess we could call this the second half of the season, although there's only 24 games left now. But a lot of moves were made in the NBA. I definitely want to talk about that. But any last thoughts about the game tonight, Calvin, before we talk about, Fox and Herter and the All-Star game? We talk about the dunk contest. We can talk about the Atlanta Hawks, some moves the Clippers made. Any last thoughts about tonight's game?
Well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Nick. Sounds like he is definitely having a lot more fun than us tonight. I'm jealous. I can't wait to go to a game at Golden One and have some pizza for sure. But I think that the things that I'm taking away from this game, look, we're, like you said, more than halfway into the season now. So we've been talking and over analyzing and trying to think of ways this team can improve for 50 plus games at this point. This deep into the season, to quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were, or they are who we think they are. They're not a great defensive team, although they can put together, brief stretches where they actually buckle down and play. And they have been pretty good defensive rating wise in the fourth quarter as well, which is something that you really like to see. We know that they struggle, with size inside. They don't have a lot of things behind or people behind Sabonis. It would have been great to add pieces at the deadline. All of that stuff, we've talked about ad nauseum. So look, going forward for this last stretch run here, to me, it's more about what little adjustments can you make with the roster constructed the way it is? Because as you mentioned, they didn't make any moves at the deadline. And I think you saw some of those things tonight. Number one, they have to find ways for the guards and wings to be able to box out and get rebounds. Keegan Murray tonight had a couple of really great tips on balls, and that's the stuff that it takes. It's not necessarily that you're going to come down with every rebound, but they have to be able to find guys on the weak side to box out so that they can end possessions and not give up so many second chance points. Number two, they've got to figure out a way to be able to run more. This team is so good when they're in transition with Fox, with Terrence Davis, Monk, Davion Mitchell, even Sabonis, his ability to rake and take and be the guy that initiates the break for them. They have to get out and run more often so that they don't have to, struggle to shoot in the half court sometimes or struggle to get buckets when they're already not that great of a defensive team. And then I think number three is Keegan Murray has to stay aggressive for the rest of the season. And when I say aggressive, I don't necessarily mean consistently looking to put up more shots. Yes, I do think he should shoot more or look to create a little bit more. He's starting to add more pieces of that to his game, but it's fine. It's finding ways to be aggressive even when the ball is not in his hands, like the tip plays on the rebounds that I talked about tonight, like coming over and contesting shots when he's not the primary defender on a player. Those are the type of things that will keep him engaged in the game longer. It'll allow him to play more minutes. I think he'll be more effective, and the Kings are going to be a better team if he stays aggressive like that.
Yeah, great point. We got to give a shout out to Wendy. I see Wendy is joining in via the chat. She is a member of the royal family. Wendy, thank you so much for your support. We miss you, we love you, and it's great to see you. Calvin, I want to throw it over to Bryce. Bryce requested to come up on stage. So, Bryce, I want to hear from you. What were your thoughts on the win tonight?
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Sorry if I'm driving right now, so the rain is kind of dropping on my windshield pretty loudly.
No worries, man. How are you? How was your night?
My night was good. Just moved out of my apartment, just moved back home. Got to watch the Kings on the flat screen tonight. But overall thoughts on the game, pretty sluggish, but I guess you could expect that after All-Star break. And Portland was coming in with all bench players fighting for a chance to show what they got, so it's not surprising that they got off to a hot start. They were definitely in it more than us at the beginning. But I think the Kings did a really good job of not getting overwhelmed at the beginning and turned it around pretty well.
Were you worried when you saw the Kings down, what was it, 19-4 early?
I wasn't worried. I couldn't see them losing to Portland without anybody, but you never know though in the NBA. Guys can get hot. Like the Kings are notorious for losing against teams that sit their starters and then the backups just get hot. I mean, at least that's what I believe.
Oh, 100%, man. Honestly, as weird as this sounds, when we face a really good team, I am more scared when they are missing their best player than when they are fully healthy. And I know that is ass backwards, but honestly, that's how I feel.
No, I 100% agree with that. That's hilarious. I agree. Because everyone's trying harder, and they all think, oh, it's the Kings. We can still beat them easy. But hopefully they're starting to get their minds turned around.
I really, really hope so. Bryce, were you able to catch All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, I watched it at my place right before I moved. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that Fox didn't score, to be honest. It doesn't seem like obviously he cares to be there, but he doesn't have to show out to anyone. He knows that he doesn't have to do anything to impress anyone.
Yeah, we heard him talking about it during the broadcast tonight, right? That De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis aren't kind of those super flashy guys that need to show off, right? They're just worried about wins right now. And I think he's just happy for the recognition that he finally made it to get that all-star nod. So we know he has the new baby, would have appreciated maybe a little bit more rest here. But I know he's had a hell of a month, and he's definitely happy to be an all-star. And Calvin, I just got to say, dude, was I right or was I right? Did I not say the Kings were going to have 2 all-stars this year?
You were right. You were right.
I'm not always right, but it happens every once in a blue moon. Bryce, what do you think about the 3-point competition?
Oh gosh, it's funny because I made a parlay and I took Damian Lillard over 23 total points out of 40 on the 3-point thing. Tyrese Halliburton over 20, Buddy Hield over 23, and Herter over 20 and a half. And he screwed my parlay. But I mean, it happens. He's not the only one that struggled, I guess. But it was tough to watch Herter throw up some bricks.
Yeah, he said he definitely wants to come back next year. So hopefully, he got kind of the jitters out, and he'll definitely be ready to perform a little bit better next year. So I really hope so. Shout out to Brindle Court Sports, Pika House. It's good to see you guys here in the chat. Bryce, last thing before I go back to Calvin. Or sorry, go for it. Did you have something else to say?
Yeah, Herter made 2 out of 4 tonight on threes, or 2 out of 5. What was this? Do you guys know his final stat on that?
2 of
He made
6, 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3-point range.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, 50% from the field. I just really hope he has a game in the next few games where he just shoots like 7 for 11 from deep, just to free his mind up a little bit, because he's got it in him. He's got it there.
I agree. I mean, I think that he started out the season really hot, and a lot of Kings fans' expectations for him, just like our expectations for the team, right? Where we were just happy to be in the 8th seed or the 7th seed. Now we're the 3rd seed right now, and everybody's like, okay, the Kings need to do better. We got to win games. We have to stay ahead, right? So I think that expectations constantly change, and I think that his hot start to the season raised a lot of expectations for him. So I think that he could be reverting a little bit back to the mean. I'm not worried about Kevin Huerter. We did see him, what was it, the last game or maybe the game before the last game before the All-Star break. He was having some pain and grabbing his hand. I don't know if that's affecting his shot at all. But I'm not worried about Kevin Huerter. Shooters shoot. They go through good times. They go through bad times. I think he'll be okay.
Exactly, I feel that.
But
Good point.
before I go back to Calvin, you want to give me your thoughts on tomorrow's game, the back-to-back against the Clippers in LA?
Yeah, so Clippers are a whole new team in my eyes. Kawhi and PG are now playing almost every game. Just added Westbrook, Bones Highland. I think they're pretty dangerous. I think they are top 3 Western teams in my opinion, and I'm excited to see what the Kings can show. Maybe they're not going to be perfect tomorrow because Westbrook's new, Highland's new, but I'm excited to see how the Kings do. I'm expecting a very close game. I'm hoping for a win, but I'm expecting a very close game.
I agree. Well, hey, appreciate you coming on stage and speaking with us. Can you give me a score prediction?
Let's see. Clippers play a little defense. I'm going to say 117, 114 Kings.
I like it. I like it. Well, Calvin, I see a bunch of people here in the chat are talking about your buddy Jordy Fernandez. Now, it's no surprise to anybody, or at least it shouldn't be at this point. Nate McMillan was fired over the All-Star weekend, and there is a job opening now in Atlanta. Calvin, don't break my heart here. Tell me about this situation.
Well, of course, everything's all rumors for now, so I hope nobody is losing too much sleep over this. There's also a very, very competitive race, I think, when you look at some of the candidates that are going to be, the highest rated or most likely to get this job. Quinn Snyder, the former Jazz coach, is everybody's expected front runner right now, but you've also got Charles Lee, who was an assistant in Milwaukee, and his name came up a lot during the off season when they were thinking of, or when teams were interviewing their new head coaches as well. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Jordy. He's definitely gaining a lot of respect in the league. His reputation is obviously growing and growing from being in Denver and now this turnaround here in Sacramento. He is definitely going to be a head coach at some point here. Hopefully it's not very soon, at least for Kings fans, but his name should be mentioned. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's really done a phenomenal job here in Sacramento. And I think, a guy like that, like you said, right, he will be a head coach eventually in the NBA. We can just hope that he makes such a big impact on this roster that it stays with the team past him, right? But he really has done a great, great job. Bouncer, I see you calling for the laser here in the chat. Unfortunately, I cannot light the laser tonight because we are not in the studio, but we should be back in the studio tomorrow night for the Clippers game. So I will light the laser twice tomorrow for you if you'd like. But yeah, interesting situation for the Hawks. Do you think they made the right move here, firing Nate McMillan? Because I was a big McMillan fan when he was in Portland. But what are your thoughts?
I am a big McMillan fan as well. I mean, I like defensive-minded coaches just like Jordy. I thought he was a good fit for that team, and they had a really, really great turnaround after he was the interim coach, and then eventually got the interim tag removed when they made a run all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. It seemed like it was a really good match. I don't know, and I can't really speak to what is going on within that locker room off the court, but it definitely feels like there's some sort of disconnect there. Trae Young had the instance earlier this year where he didn't show up because he was, unhappy with the way things were handled in practice or whatever. He had an altercation with coach. John Collins has repeatedly said, I don't know if he said anything directly about Nate McMillan, but he seems to be unhappy with his role there. He wants a new change of scenery or something like that. And when you look at the fact that this team went all in, trading for DeJounte Murray to really put together a big three there, and they've underperformed, whether it was the right move or not, only time will tell, and it'll ultimately be decided on, how the next head coach does, right, when he gets there. But it was clear that things just weren't working. And when things aren't working like that, oftentimes the coach is going to take the fall for it. You're not going to ship out your stars like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. You're going to get a new coach in there.
Oh, you guys are killing me here in the chat. Shout out to Jay, shout out to Mr. Angel, and shout out to Sass. It's good to see you all. I wish we were in the studio tonight, but I am recovering from being sick. Should be back in the studio tomorrow night. But Calvin, any good strip club stories, or you want to hold off on those?
Oh, we'll save those for another time. We got to have a little bit of material left.
Can't give away all our secrets in one stream, that is for sure. So I asked Bryce a little bit about All-Star Weekend, and I know you briefly touched on it, but what were your thoughts on De'Aaron Fox going scoreless in the All-Star game?
Well, my first thoughts is that the All-Star game is an absolute joke. It's just become horrible. I mean, when the celebrity game is more fun to watch than the NBA All-Star game, that's a problem. When you have head coaches on the sideline saying it was the worst game of basketball ever played, that's a problem. You've heard guys speak out like Kevin Durant talking about, it used to mean something to be a part of All-Star Weekend, and all the brightest players in the game would really show out. It's turned into an absolute laughing stock. And a lot of that is just, from what I believe, is that the players don't care. I mean, you heard it directly from De'Aaron Fox's mouth when he was asked about it. And yes, I don't want to rag on De'Aaron or we, all of us as Kings fans, would much rather have him, be focused on the stretch run and making the playoffs than performing well in the All-Star game. But if you're going to have the All-Star game and have it be a big deal and mean something, the players have to care about it. It's got to become more of a real game. It can't just be one guy dribbling and the other four guys or the other eight guys are standing with their arms at their sides on the other side of the court. It's just not fun for anybody to watch. It doesn't seem like it's fun for these guys to be a part of. It seems more like a job than an actual, event or privilege. So something's got to change, because otherwise it's going to end up just like the Pro Bowl, which nobody cares about anymore, and they don't even tackle each other.
Yeah, great point. I think the only guys having fun out there were probably Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as they were going back and forth. Calvin, I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little frazzled trying to figure out how the scoring worked in the All-Star game. They kept resetting the score every quarter. It didn't really make a lot of sense, but I agree. They definitely need to make some big changes to make it a little bit more exciting, incentivize players to play a little bit harder, to actually play some defense. And then you mentioned it, right? Players have said they don't care. Coaches said that it was the worst, game that they've ever seen. What do you think about the slam dunk contest? Because you said that was the best part of All-Star Weekend. I've never seen a G Leaguer in the dunk contest, much less win the dunk contest. And then also want to hear your comment or your thoughts on the comments made by Ja Morant when asked how many likes it would take for him to enter in the dunk contest. He said $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that guys like Ja and LeBron and Zion, the people that you would love to see compete in the dunk contest don't really seem to have much of an interest in doing it. That's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you can't make somebody do it if they don't want to. Kind of like, the mindset of playing in the All-Star game where it's like we don't really care too much about it. Can you actually make somebody care? I don't know if you can, even if you incentivize them and, offer prizes and all this stuff. But that aside, Mac McClung's performance in the dunk contest was great. It was really fun to watch. I'm really happy for that guy that he's, finally getting some recognition for things that he's been doing since high school. I mean, anybody who actually has watched YouTube videos or followed him while in his recruiting and college career at Georgetown and then Texas Tech. This guy's been doing this for, most of his life. This is not a new thing for him. So I was really, really happy to see it. And I do love the dunk contest personally. So it was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I agree. It probably was the best part of All-Star Weekend. Maybe I would have liked the three-point competition a little bit better if Kevin Herter had done better. But it seems like they've changed that contest as well, right? Didn't they add in like those 4-point balls as well?
Yeah, they've been making some tweaks to it for a few years. They have the all money ball rack now, and yes, the two 4-point shots, which I think is good. The way that the game is played today, the 3-point shot is such a huge part of what everybody does, and the fact that everybody can shoot. So I think the 3-point contest could be more of a featured event, even though it's always been pretty popular. They could definitely make it more so, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, the All-Star game pretty much turned into a three-point competition as well. We saw Dame Lillard hit a three from beyond half court, and everyone was going for a deep three for the final game winner in that game. Maybe it's me, Calvin. Maybe I haven't watched All-Star Weekend for a while, but just everything seemed different. Everything seemed changed. I was frazzled. I was lost. I didn't really know what to pay attention to. But hey, at least I got to watch the entire weekend and at least say that I was able to do that. Couple more things I want to talk about, Calvin, before we move on to the Clippers. First off, Keegan Murray is on pace to break the three-point rookie record. Give me your thoughts on that. What does that mean for Keegan? What does that mean for the NBA?
Well, it means the NBA is about to have a new rookie record setter, right? I mean, I don't think he's just going to break it. I think he's going to blow by it. I expect that, like I was talking about him earlier, being more aggressive. I think he's going to be stroking a bunch of threes for the rest of the season. So just hats off to him, man. I mean, he's fit in seamlessly with this team with his style of play, being a great knockdown outside shooter with the length that he has, the ability to shoot over people, and the way that this team plays offensively, he gets a lot of open looks. So I'm certainly not surprised to see it, and just happy that the Kings, pulled the trigger on taking him at 4.
Yeah, and you were the one that called it. So congratulations, Calvin. You got one right as well. I definitely got to give you a little pat on the back for that because you called Keegan Murray, and he has been phenomenal for the Sacramento Kings. All right, let's move on. The Kings have 24 games left on the schedule through the rest of the year. They have the fourth toughest schedule through the rest of the season. The Clippers have the second toughest schedule. The next 3 games are on the road for the Sacramento Kings. We go, I believe it's Clippers, and then 2 games against the Oklahoma City Thunder before returning home. The Clippers were able to make some moves. They did add Bones Highland and Russell Westbrook. Bryce mentioned earlier that guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are starting to get healthy and are playing the majority of games. Give me your thoughts real quick before we jump into the Clippers. Just give me your thoughts on kind of the rest of the season, the last 24 games for the Sacramento Kings, and things you believe they should focus on.
Well, it's going to be a sprint to the finish line. The West is completely locked up tight. You could be in, third place one day and you could wake up in ninth place, a few days later if you're not careful. So it goes without saying that all of these games are incredibly important. The division games, though, I mean, the Clippers are right there neck and neck with Sacramento in the overall standings, the division standings as well. These games down the stretch against Golden State, against Phoenix, and against the Clippers, because they don't have any more games against the Lakers this year, I believe. They're going to be extra, extra important. And that goes without saying for every team that's in the Western Conference, right? So I think just echoing kind of what I said earlier on the Kings being able to play faster, get in transition more, find a way to be able to secure more rebounds by using the guards and the wings to start blocking out on the weak side, so you don't have guys like Keon Johnson coming in from the opposite wing for easy slam dunk putbacks. To be able to take a little bit of the pressure off of Sabonis, who has to handle so much already. Those sort of things, along with keeping Keegan Murray engaged and aggressive throughout the course of the game. And the bench is going to have to be big time for them. The starting lineup has played more minutes than any other starting lineup in the NBA. Sabonis is already dealing with the thumb injury, so they're going to need the bench to be big for them down the stretch in order to secure a home court playoff series in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah, things are starting to get pretty tight here in the standings. The Kings currently are the third seed at 33 and 25. And then you have, the Clippers are right there at 33 and 28. You have Phoenix at 32 and 28. You have Dallas at 31 and 29. And then you're in, that 7, 8, 9, 10 range, right around 500 or so, where you're fighting not only for a spot in the playoffs, but you have those extra games for the play-in, which could make a first-round series even harder for you. But let's talk about the Clippers, Calvin. It is a back-to-back tomorrow. Not a lot of players on the Kings tonight played huge minutes outside of Domas. 32 minutes for him, but guys like Fox, 26 for him, 24 for Harrison Barnes, 25 for Keegan Murray. The bench was able to step up and play big for them. But give me your first thoughts on tomorrow's back-to-back against the Clippers in LA. And don't forget, the Kings are probably in the air right now.
Well, Bryce was right on the money talking about this game. The Clippers are a completely different team than what the Kings saw from them early on this season. I mean, this is the team that before the season started, I picked the Clippers to win the Western Conference. And I'm not saying that they're going to, but they are definitely looking more like that team now. Kawhi Leonard's definitely got more of his legs under him. He's able to play more minutes and look more like his old self. Paul George missed a lot of games early on in the year. He's been really, really good for them as well. They're an incredibly deep team, a really good shooting team, and a very long, athletic, defensive team that can switch and guard multiple positions. They cause a lot of wreak a lot of havoc, cause a lot of pressure, get deflections. They are a very, very dangerous team in the West.
Yeah, the ultimate 3-and-D team. Calvin, this Clippers team is almost like what you and I have been talking about for years, like the prototypical team, right? Everyone can shoot, everyone can pass, everyone can switch and play defense. So this is a really, really dangerous team. It just depends on how healthy they can be. And they're finally starting to get healthy. They could be hitting their stride. It's definitely a team to keep an eye on. Shout out to EJ for joining in here on the chat on YouTube. Calvin, give me your keys to the Clippers game.
Well, before I say that or go over the keys, I also want to mention, just to speak to how deep this team is. We talked about, or it's been mentioned a couple of times, they added Russell Westbrook and Bones Highland. They also added Eric Gordon and Mason Plumlee. Plumlee, a guy that the Kings, a lot of Kings fans wanted. This team is 2 or 3 deep at every position, and they've got a lot of versatile players. So, like I said, they're just an incredibly dangerous team. Number one key for tomorrow, the Clippers are not the number one scoring defense in the NBA, but this is a top offense versus a top defense game. It's a strength versus strength game. The Kings average over 119 points a game. The Clippers give up 111. something's got to give here. Which side is going to come out stronger and more effective. Number two, bench points. Again, the Kings had a great performance from the bench tonight. The Clippers bench is very, very good and just got a lot better after the trade deadline and the buyout market started as well. They're third in the NBA in bench points per game. The Clippers are at 42. The Kings right now average just under 37 a game. So which bench unit is going to be able to win the battle will go a long way to determining the game. And then number three is going to be guard the three-point line. The Clippers are sixth right now in the NBA in three-point percentage at 37.8. They just added guys like Bones Highland and Eric Gordon, who are also excellent three-point shooters. And the Kings are 22nd in the NBA right now, allowing opponents to shoot around 37% from three as well.
It's definitely going to be a tough matchup for the Kings, and it is in LA. However, Calvin, this Kings team seems to play up when they play good teams. They seem to play down to teams when they play bad teams. So I think they do have a good chance. I know the Clippers are favored by 6.5 points, according to ESPN. So this is going to be a tough game for the Sacramento Kings. They can't get out to a slow start like they did tonight. And they just simply got to make shots and not turn the ball over. I think that this is going to be, a good experiment for the Kings, right? A good test for them to figure out whether they have it or not. You mentioned the rest of the season is basically a race to the finish line. I think many Kings fans already view this season as a success for the Kings. Even if they were I'm going to knock on some wood right now because I don't want to jinx anybody, but even if they were to go on, a horrible losing streak, just the fact that they are the third seed in the Western Conference about 60 games into the season is showing a lot of progress. It really, really is. I do think the Kings are going to finish, with a top 5, top 6 record in the Western Conference. Calvin, I know I said top 6. Your hair could potentially be safe, but it is a race for the finish line. It's going to be a really, really good test for guys like Fox, who's never been in a position like this before, to be fighting and playing in meaningful basketball games this late in the season, and then just kind of the overall rest of the team. Whether they made the right move at the deadline, not bringing in any additional players, we'll see. But, I do have to say, Calvin, I'm really, really excited. I'm happy with where this Kings team is at right now, and I'm just overall happy to see some progress. What about you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Kings, to be in the position that they're in right now, there are very few people out there that expected it. It's fantastic for the city. Everybody is, rejuvenated and energetic and excited about this team. And whether or not they made the right move, like you said, at the deadline by not making any moves, I think doubling down on this group, the coaching staff, the players, kind of giving them the confidence that they are making the progress and that they're the future. This core, group of players together is the future that's going to build a winning team, is probably going to pay off down the line, right? If you were to make some moves just because all of a sudden you're third in the West, that might ruin some players' confidences in certain positions or role players, bench players, things like that. I think that Monty and Mike Brown have a really good pulse for this team, and they're definitely going to be a factor down the stretch, which is something that we haven't been able to say for quite some time.
All right, Calvin, keys to the Clippers game.
Again?
Yes, I think Brian missed them here in the chat, so let's go over them one more time.
Oh, okay. I'll just go over them really quickly. At number one, it's a strength versus strength matchup. The Kings are the best scoring offense in the NBA. The Clippers are one of the best scoring defenses in the NBA. So, which team is going to win out in that regard? Right now, the Kings have been on a tear. De'Aaron Fox, 5 straight 30-point plus games. Will they be able to keep that up against a team that traditionally the Kings struggle with, a lot of length and being able to switch and guard multiple positions? Number two, battle of the bench units. The Clippers are third in the NBA in bench scoring at 42 a game, and the Kings had a great performance tonight. They're going to need another one tomorrow. And then finally, guard the three-point line. Clippers put up a lot of threes. They have a lot of players that can really shoot it. The Kings are going to have to be in their shorts, as we say, for the entire game.
Yes, they will need to be, and the Kings have not guarded the three-point line too well this season. So we will see how it goes. I'm definitely excited for the game tomorrow. I'm excited to be back, watching Kings basketball. It was a long week, Calvin, with no Kings official basketball. I know we saw a couple guys at the All-Star game, but I really missed watching Kings basketball. I'm happy for the win tonight. I'm excited for the game tomorrow. Any thoughts on the rest of this road trip? I know we play the Clippers tomorrow and then Sunday and Tuesday, both against Oklahoma City, before returning home to play the Clippers again next Friday, which is tough. 2 Fridays in a row against this Clippers team. Any thoughts about kind of the remainder of the road trip against Oklahoma City?
Well, it's another, interesting matchup. We got to see them once this season. They're definitely an exciting young team. They give everybody a lot of problems. They force a lot of turnovers. So that's going to be a very critical part of the game for Sacramento, trying to avoid falling into one of those spells where they have multiple possessions in a row, turning the ball over. That really it will ignite Oklahoma City, who is an incredibly young team, and they play completely without fear of anyone. So SGA is having a phenomenal season as well. Every game is important, obviously, from here on out. So just because it's a road trip or you have a back-to-back or whatever the case may be, it's all or nothing right now. That you've only got 24 games left, and the standings are super tight. So every game is very, very meaningful.
Yeah, great points. And what I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I want to just mention one more time to all the Kings fans out there that are listening. The Kings are currently 33-25. That is 8 games above 500. 8 effing games above 500. That's tied for the most games they've been above 500 this season. So as the season has progressed, the Kings have continued to get better. If they do win tomorrow, it would be the first time going 9 games over 500. Yes, the standings are tight, but the Kings are continuing to play well, and they're not faltering, at least not this far into the season. Calvin, 24 games left. You have an estimation on where you think the Kings end the season? What seed, what record?
Oh man, I mean, I'm still confident. I'm confident that they're going to have a really good chance or opportunity to get home court in the first round. So whether that's staying put in third or sliding to fourth, it is not going to be easy though. This is going to be a really, really difficult stretch run here for the Sacramento. But I will say this: De'Aaron Fox just continues to impress me. His last 5 games, obviously this month, he's been just incredible, continuing to take his game to another level. If he can continue to play like this for the rest of the season, you can definitely say that the Kings will have a very good shot at the 3rd or 4th seed.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Well, guys, I think that pretty much wraps us up. We want to thank everybody so much for tuning in, everybody on Twitter Spaces, everybody on YouTube. Appreciate you all so much. Please don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will see you all for tomorrow's game. We'll be live post game. We should be in the studio, so you get to see all of our beautiful faces. Calvin, any last words for the royal family out there?
Thanks, you guys. It's great to be back. We missed you. We'll be having our faces right up front for you to see tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll be